If you are a man watching this, then chances are you have the desires and the vision to be a leader of yourself, of your family, and of the world around you. However, if you are someone that struggles with body dysmorphia and has body image insecurities, you struggle with self doubt, then chances are your ability to lead or your belief in your ability to lead is greatly compromised. In this video, I want to speak to you, godly men in particular, who are struggling with their body dysmorphia, that know they are here to lead, but are unable to actually step into that man that's capable of doing that. Now, if you're new here, my name is Tom, and I struggled with body dysmorphia for over 15 years. It was something that completely controlled my life. And I had all these desires and dreams to be the man of my family, to be the best father that I could possibly be, to be the best and most loving husband that I could possibly be, and to build a business where I can genuinely impact the world. And as I went through my body dysmorphia journey and I eventually overcame it, things were really, really starting to look up, but there was still this little disconnect, because when I then found God and connected to Christ, and that happened in sort of the last 3 years, there was then this next level that I felt called to, because whilst I'd overcome my body dysmorphia, there was still this part of me that didn't feel like the true embodiment of that masculine man that I wanted to be. And so finding my faith has allowed me to kind of strip that back and rebuild that foundation. And now I just see a lot of men, godly men, that want to be this leader, but are struggling with that narrative of body dysmorphia. They don't love who and what they see in the mirror, that doubt themselves, that compare themselves, and ultimately that doubt their ability to be the head of the family and do everything that they want to do. All right. So I've been on this big journey through my body dysmorphia journey, and then my sort of, I guess, masculine journey, so to speak, because my end goal, the thing that I am chasing most, is to become this incredible man of God and be the leader and be the man that my family can rely on. So in this video, I want to sort of break down more so the body dysmorphia stuff and how we can actually start to get you through that from a physical sense and, more importantly, an identity sense. Because chances are you probably tried a lot of the fitness-based stuff. You've tried to change your body. You probably train, you probably eat well, and your body might have actually changed, but you still live by the same story. You still struggle with inferiority and not feeling good enough. And beyond the body, again, it's just this way that you show up that is not fitting of the leader you want to be, and is not fitting of the man that has the calling on their life that they know God has placed there. Right. So getting up the document here just to have some things for you guys to look at, I want to start with this verse, and I've gotten this, well, it's obviously from the Bible, but Pastor Joby Martin talks about this verse a lot for men, and it's become one that I'm reading every single day, and I'm doing my best to live as every single day, which is going to create the foundation for this video. And that is 1 Corinthians 16, verses 13 and 14. And it says, "Be on guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, and do everything with love." It's a beautiful verse, and I think it's just an incredible foundational thing that we can always come back to make sure that we are ticking those boxes, right? Be on guard for the spiritual warfare that is happening to you right now, right? Body dysmorphia, self-doubt, insecurity, inferiority. These are all tools of the enemy that he will use to keep us playing small and to ultimately not be the man that God's placed us here to be. Stand firm in the faith. So always getting into the word, always getting into the Bible, having God at the center of our life. Be courageous. So going all in on yourself. Like, if you're going to do this, commit to this wholeheartedly, be courageous, be strong. And then most importantly, do everything with love, right? Because if you're here and you're still watching this, chances are, again, you have this bigger vision for your life. There's that man that you want to become. And yes, it's for yourself. Yes, you want to be that for yourself and for your younger self. But you want to do that for the benefit of others. You want to do that to lead your family. You want to have this come from that very loving place. So that's just one of my favorite verses, and I thought I'd throw it in there. So if we look at the problem and what you are facing, again, I've just written down a few things here, and these were very much what I felt in my journey as well, right? Just general insecurity, body dysmorphia. So having this disconnect between the actions you feel like you're putting in and even the progress you've made, but it's your inability to actually see it. You're always uncomfortable in your own skin. You compare yourself. You fear the judgment of others. Even when you're at the gym, you're worried about if other people are looking at you, or you're, telling yourself, oh, I don't look as good or as jacked as that dude. Same as on social media. This body image you just feel isn't fitting of the man that you want to be. And it doesn't matter how hard you train or how well you diet, that inner peace or that inner critic is still really, really loud, and it holds you back. Self-doubt, again, it's very broad, but yeah, just general doubt over your abilities, your capabilities, and over that vision that you have for your life, not grounded in masculinity. So again, this was a big thing for me. I grew up with two sisters, and then my parents split. So I had this kind of, I just didn't, like, I was more feminine. I was very in touch with my emotions. I was softer. I was shy. I was, I never liked being the center of attention. And a lot of this came back to my body dysmorphia and this narrative that I needed to sort of fit in. I needed to people please. I needed to outsource my worth and have that validation met. And that put me in a more of a feminine based place rather than in that strong, grounded masculinity. And this is what we see a lot of, right? People men giving their power away, outsourcing their worth and value to other people, trying to fight this hierarchy of worth, and that based on your physique and how you look. And that just leads to us not being able to fully step into our leadership and masculinity as a man. And then always battling this inferiority complex, battling this not good enough narrative. And I'm going to talk about this in more detail down here in the solution. But at the core of all of these struggles is a story, a script, like an actor has a script that then tells us who we are, and then therefore how we need to be, and the world that we actually create. And for those of us, and for those viewers out there watching this that are wanting to lead, we can't do that if we genuinely believe deep down that we are not enough, and we have this inferiority complex, right? That's not something fitting of a leader and the man that we ultimately want to become. And all this combines to give us a lacking of the physique that we desire, the self-image, the confidence to do what we're here to do and be who we are here to be. It's this disconnect. And this is something I felt. It was like this gap between who I was, who I thought I was, the body I had, and the man I saw in the mirror. And then I would have like the vision. I'm like, oh, this is what I desire. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to create and build. And then there'd be this huge gap. It's like, well, who am I to be able to build that? Like looking this way, thinking this way, being this way. I had a whole, past filled with evidence to support that I was not going to be able to do this. And so from where you are right now, like looking up at where you want to be, it feels really daunting because you're like, well, I can't do that. I'm not capable of that. The inner critic, the body that I'm in, the strength, the level of connection to my masculinity that I feel. And, hopefully you're watching this and you are really grounded in faith and in God. But knowing there's a calling, like logically knowing there's a calling and that you have value in this world, but deep down you don't actually feel that. And that's okay, right? It's okay to be in that place where you just aren't feeling that calling or like the man that, God put you here to be. Right. So this is the problem that we face and a lot of men face. So first of all, just know you're not alone. Again, I battled body dysmorphia as a whole for over 15 years. And then I've still going back and forth with some of these other things, lately, in the last 6 months, I've gone through another huge identity collapse and upgrade. And like a lot of that came about by me just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And sort of creating my own solution to work through this. So what I wanted to then talk about in the rest of this video is the solution. Now, I've done an entire deep dive into this, which is my 4S framework. This is the framework that all of my mentoring and teaching is based around. I've done a complete deep dive on this on my channel. I think it's called something like understand this and your body dysmorphia will be gone or whatever. I'll link it down below. But if you want a deeper, it's like a 28-minute video where I deep dive into this, I'd recommend go watching that. But I just wanted to touch on this briefly because it really ties in with what I was just talking about. Now, for you watching this, no matter what your struggle is, if you've resonated with what I've said so far, there are 4 pillars that I believe are super important and are the ones that I've worked on and looked at to help me move through these struggles, right? And that is source, story, strategy, synergy. So source is our reference point. Are we either defining ourselves based on how God sees us, or are we letting the world tell us who we are? And more often than not, even for us faith-based men, it's really easy to get caught up in the world, right? What are the expectations of men? Like the toxic masculinity narrative that has us almost unconsciously being like, oh, well, I don't want to be too masculine because that's now considered bad in parts of the world, right? The comparison, the fear of judgment, the external opinion, all these different things where we're outsourcing to other people and letting them dictate who we are, rather than being deeply rooted in that biblical masculinity of, okay, God put me here for a reason. This is who I need to be. He is the only source that I need to look at when I'm defining who I am, right? That foundational piece. So God versus world is a huge piece that most people miss, is they're only ever focused on the body and the program and the this and the that, but they don't realize that unconsciously they are defining themselves and they are approaching that physical journey from a place where they're going to be judging themselves based on other people. So it's never going to work, right? You reach a certain physique and you're already on Instagram being like, oh, but I don't look like this, so I got to keep going because I can't be proud of my progress, right? It never ends. And then you move the goalposts again and again and again, because then if you reach that, then you'll be happy, then you'll be confident because you're closer to that male body norm or whatever it might be. This is a losing game, right? This is not the game fitting of a leader. He doesn't care about what other people are doing or how other people view him. He just needs to do what is best for him. And when we are judging ourselves and defining ourselves based on the world and not who God put us here to be in this beautiful book, right, we're always going to be chasing our tails. And again, that not good enough narrative is just going to continue to run riot because we're not in control. We're giving our power away to other people. We're giving our power away to our past and letting that define us. So again, doubling down on your connection with God, remembering who you are here to be. And as you start to do that more and more with the integration of these other pieces, external noise, judgment, opinion, comparison will slowly fade away because it's like, it's still there, but my priority is God and the man God put me here to be. All right, that's the first piece. The second piece is probably the most in-depth, and this is the one that, I run whole one-day intensives on. I run entire 8 to 12-week courses on, programs on, and that is story. So this is all of the inner work, the identity work, the mindset work, the emotional work. And this at its core is, who do you actually believe you are? So I speak about something called a core story. Again, I think the last video I uploaded was a deep dive into core story. So again, I'd recommend go watching that one as well. But essentially, we all have this core story, this inner narrative, this, as I mentioned before, this script that we are following that basically tells us who we are, and therefore we create a world as a result of that. So for me, my story for so long was I was the guy that had body dysmorphia. I was the guy that had his body and his chest picked on and judged and shamed back in the day. Right? I'm the guy that has never been confident. I'm the guy that has the bigger chest and is different. I'm the guy that can never be center of attention, that it was always wanted to hide away. That was my story. That was who I believed I was. So therefore, I created a whole world, a whole identity, a whole self-concept around that. That was who I was. And again, like, this is a whole rabbit hole, but essentially our brain will then filter our reality to show us a map of the world based on those beliefs, based on that story, based on that identity. So if you continue to believe you're not good enough, you're inferior, you doubt yourself, your body's not enough, you're never going to be the leader, you're never going to attract in your dream woman, then your world is going to reflect that. You're going to have evidence to support that fact everywhere you look. And then we take that 3D tangible reality as fact, which then fuels our story, and then it only creates it and embeds it more and more and more. So much of the work I do with people is on changing this story, is on doing this deep inner work, identity work that a lot of men just never do or are not even aware of that they need to do. Because you can't step up into that, man. You can't overcome your body dysmorphia if you're still living by the same narrative. The only reason I've been able to overcome my body dysmorphia and ultimately build my body into a physique that I love and I'm confident in was because I changed the story. Right? My body and how I saw it in the past was perfectly aligned with how I saw myself. Right? All those things I just mentioned before. It made sense that my body, it made me feel insecure, that it was lacking muscle. Like you can get the picture, right? It was perfectly aligned with that. Our external world is a direct projection of our internal world. So you need to change your story to one that is fitting of the leader, to one that is fitting of being confident, of being strong, of being courageous, right? Everything in that Bible verse. Once you do that and you step into that identity and you let go of what doesn't serve you, and again, you let go of the opinions of others, anchored deep in God as your source, not the world, right? Then your body will start to reflect that. Your actions will start to reflect that. Your experiences, what you are seeing, what you are attracting in will actually start to reflect that, because now we are following the script. right? We've always been following the script at our unconscious level, but it just hasn't served us up until now. And it's been rooted in lack, in scarcity, in not enough in the world, right? Which is limitation and not God. So again, that is a huge piece. And this is what the majority of my mentoring is around. But nothing will change in your external world until that inner story and core story changes. Strategy is next. So that's like, okay, now the training program, the nutrition plan, like the actual strategy to build my dream body, because we do not want to be the man or the person that sits in body positivity, right? If you want to be the man and the example and the leader of your household and whatever else, then you need to look the part. So that is get into shape, start prioritizing your training, start running, start eating high quality food, stop eating like a toddler, right? Stop eating all this processed crappy food if you want to nourish your body and have energy and mental clarity and libido and all these things. This is where the strategy element comes in. This is the actions. This is where we actually take that new story and make it progress and results in our tangible world. And again, that's going to be different for everybody depending on what you need to do and where you need to move. And again, that's where mentoring comes in. We rewrite the story and be like, okay, cool. Where do you want to go? What are your actual goals? What is the vision? Sweet. Now let's implement the strategy to get you there, whether it's lose weight, whether it's add muscle, whether it's, have you running more, whether it's the food stuff, whether it's business related or relationships related, right? That's the strategy piece. And the final piece is synergy. And that is integrating and normalizing this new story, this new identity, and this new body into my life. So this is really coming down to, again, why am I actually doing this? How do I need to show up every day? Who do my loved ones need me to be? Who does my wife or my partner need me to be? What kind of example do I need to set for my kids, and who do I need to be for them? Right? And if we can then integrate that and integrate this new you into different areas, all the different areas of your life that are important to you, that's how we normalize it. Right? This is how we're showing up in our business, at home, at the gym, in our friendship circles, walking into the shops, again, whether you're on social media, like this is now just who you are. We are building our world around this new version of us, where we lead, where we are the man of God, where we are in shape, where we are loving and kind and soft, yet powerful, strong and grounded. So this is the integration piece. It's easy to change your body. It's easy to lose the weight once you have a program for a little while. But the one thing that stops people and will always have them going back to the body dysmorphia not being enough is they haven't actually created that integration piece into their life. There's no bigger purpose and bigger reason as to why they need to be in shape in the first place. And their story is still wrong, right? Because we can make progress and we can say lose 10 kilos, but then fall back to that old identity. We see it all the time in 8-week challenges. People lose all this weight, but they haven't actually worked on the story that was driving the body dysmorphia in the first place. And then they, a couple of months later, they're back to square one or worse because they've just fallen back on that old identity. Right. So there's this big integration piece that is needed. And so they're the 4 pillars that we need to look at. And for most people, it's going to be these first 2. Strategies is easy, right? The body will be an effortless byproduct once you have these other 2 in place. Even the synergy piece is quite easy because, like I said at the start, you probably know what you want. You know who you want to be. You know the vision you have for your life, but it's these pieces. Okay, I'm still controlled by the world and what other people think of me and what my past thinks of me. I need to be rooted more in God. And then the story piece. It's got this entire inner world, this neural network that is just embedded this negative definition of me, the inferiority, the not good enough, right? The self-doubt, the fear of failure, all these different things that has created this story that is now driving your actions and your behaviors, not fitting of a leader. So we need to address all these 4 and they all work synergistically. Because remember, brother, the world needs you, your masculinity and your leadership more than ever. Right? I get what it's like to be struggling with body dysmorphia and self-doubt and insecurity and inferiority. I did it for most of my life. But I got to a point where, again, I tried all the solutions out there. I tried everything and nothing ever worked for me. And it was because I didn't know how to integrate them. It was because I didn't know exactly what I just went through. That is the blueprint that has got me to the place I am today. My body, my physique, my health, my relationships, my mission and purpose on this earth, doing videos like this, trying to lift other men and other women up as well. But I'm seeing more than ever that like the world is crying out for stronger, more grounded men, more biblical men, right? So you have a purpose, you have a calling here. And yes, I get that you've been, struggling and battling through these things. It's all good. but they're just a test for you. They're a perfect gift from God that is like, cool, I'm going to give you this test because once you overcome it, just as I have, you're going to step more into that person that you're here to be. And you need this test. You need these struggles right here to work through and overcome, because as you do, your character will be refined. We will remove what no longer serves you, and you'll be in such a better place to become the man that you desire to be, and your family will be better as a result. All right, so wrapping up, yeah, guys, if this speaks to you, first of all, drop a comment or question or anything down below. I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, if this speaks to you, I invite you to come into my world and walk this journey with me. I integrate, so I have, again, 10 plus years of training and nutrition education. I've worked with hundreds of clients on physical results. I was a PT and stuff beforehand, online coach. So we have the physical aspect to get you into the shape you want to be. And then all the inner world work, identity work, we go through that. We change your story. We change yourself from the inside out. And we then work out where we're going to place that focus and attention, who you need to be, getting you to step up into that, right? The perfect integration of physical identity, and then how that's then going to impact and better the world as a result. So a couple of options down below, you'll see a link to my free Telegram space. So this is basically a community on Telegram where I'm dropping raw, unfiltered voice notes, content, and things that don't make my social media. It's an epic space to be a part of. You're going to be essentially having me in your pocket daily, giving you motivational talks, deep diving into certain subjects, and just holding you to a higher standard. So get yourself in there first and foremost. And then if you want to come into my world properly, I have an event coming up, a one-day event in Adelaide on February the 28th. At the time of this recording, there are 2 early bird spots left and only 6 spots left in total. So we've got that coming up. Otherwise, I have a few spaces for one-on-one mentoring for those of you that are like, nah, I want to go all in on this and be with someone that has walked this journey and remove these limitations once and for all. If that's you, again, there is a link down below. But brother, I hope this has been useful. I hope you've found some value in here. Subscribe if you haven't already. Again, go check out some of those other videos that'll sort of add to this. And yeah, the world needs you more than ever.